this morning is only going to be about 20 minutes. I want to talk to you about comic cons. Are you a fan? Have you been to one? What's your favourite comic con? And what sort of celebrities have you met? Although I've been into pop culture for all my life, it's only really in the last 5 or 6 years that I've got into comic cons. I started going in 2019, I think was the first one that I went to. Then obviously everything shut down for a couple of years, and then they restarted in about 2002 to 2003. So really only the last 3 or 4 years that Comic Con has really got back into the swing. What I've found quite interesting is all the various different comic cons, because you then have anime con and manga con, card con, and so on and so forth. Which is great because we're all individuals, we've all got different tastes and things that we enjoy. Now, I've enjoyed going to London Comic Con run by Showmasters. I find the events are generally well attended and they have some interesting guests most of the time. The other Comic Cons that I've enjoyed going to are Monopoly events, and I went to the Liverpool one earlier this year because they had, for me, a better choice of people attending. So they had most of the cast. I say most of the cast, there's most of the cast that are still alive left from Aliens. And that was really great because I never thought I'd get to meet Carter Burke, Paul Razier, and Vasquez and Drake, and they were all there, and it was a really good event. Differently organised to Showmasters, they had a different system. If I could organise my own Comic Con, I'd take elements from both organisers, because what I enjoy about Showmasters events is the fact that you can buy a diamond pass specifically for a particular guest, which guarantees you what you want: autograph, picture, and a meet and greet. They also give other things such as talks. Now, I haven't attended many of the talks, mainly because I've been in a rush and I haven't had all day to attend every single aspect of the events. On these talks I have dropped in and listened to, they've always been interesting, and it's nice to have that connection with the people that portray the characters that we see on screen. With London and Showmasters, as I say, I like the Diamond Pass arrangement. I do think sometimes it's a little bit overpriced. For example, I think David Tennant, his is very overpriced. And then coming up in the Spring Con event, you've got Shuti Gatwa, and he's about £125 for a Diamond Pass, which is a lot of money. And I'm kind of sitting on the fence as to whether or not to pay that to meet him. I have a project at the moment, which is to collect all of the autographs of the current doctors that are still alive. And so far, I've got all of them except for Peter Capaldi, Ncuti Gatwa, and Christopher Ecclestone. But apart from that, I've got everybody else. I was very fortunate enough because Tom Baker done a signing event, although it wasn't a public event. You had to send in an item to be signed, and I managed to send in a slightly bigger than A4 size poster for him to sign. But unfortunately, that meant I had to start the process again because he hasn't done an event, and I've got everybody else's autograph on a big poster, which I'm not sure what I'm going to do once I've finished it. So that's why I enjoy Showmasters, is because you can specialise and guarantee to meet that one person. Monopoly events. Good morning. Good morning. How are you? Dex Dude Gaming. Nice to have you here. I'm just talking about Comic Con and events like that, and Diamond Passes. And is there any celebrity that you'd like to meet at an event? I mean, I'm really hoping that with next year being the 40th anniversary of Aliens, you're doing, is that good? Just finishes. Really hoping with the 40th anniversary of Aliens that Sigourney Weaver will come over and do a Comic Con. She hasn't done one since. You're doing well. Great, glad to hear that. And what are you up to today? Once I've done this, I've got a meeting at 8 o'clock. I'm in the UK and I've got a business meeting at 8 o'clock. So yeah, I'm really hoping that Sigourney Weaver will come in. Nothing much. That's fair enough. Just relaxing and chilling then. Yeah, I hope Sigourney Weaver does do an event here next year because of the 40th anniversary of Aliens. Now, the last time she was over here at an event, I think was 2015, 2012. So, been a bloody long time since she's been over, and I think as a fan base, we are deserving it. And so the main difference with Monopoly is you prepay for the autographs that you want, and that more or less guarantees you getting the autograph. And I look at I'm always studying the guest lists for Monopoly and Showmasters and the other events that they have throughout the year for who's got the better lineup. And I do feel sometimes that Monopoly edges the lineup. For example, they'll have the entire cast almost of Starship Troopers, including Denise Richards and Ironside. So they'll focus on one, whereas I think if you're into Doctor Who and British TV, then Showmasters generally have the guests that appear mainly on shows like Doctor Who, Space 1999 and UFO. And they tend to pick one or two big stars. I think in the February-March event coming up next year, I believe they've got David Tennant and Ncuti Gatwa coming, but not only have they got Ncuti Gatwa, they've got Millie Gibson as well. So they're focusing more again on Doctor Who, which is fine. But I think that as a fan of various franchises and episodes and shows, I think that is limiting a little bit. As I say, I do hope that they are able to get Sigourney Weaver over here next year. I'd love to start a petition, and maybe we can petition her to come over to an event next year. That would just make me up. Sigourney Weaver next year. But see, Showmasters have had some real top-notch actors and actresses. They had Chuck Norris in the last 18 months, and you can't really get much bigger than Chuck Norris, can you? And it's really great. Why are you deleting your messages? Don't have to. So I think Showmasters tend to choose a big star and focus on some of the minor characters as well. Another person that I'd like to meet would be Michael J. Fox, and particularly because of his health. I mean, growing up in the 80s, Michael J. Fox was one of the actors that he really stood out. He was in almost everything. A bit like Pedro Pascal, but a bit more likeable. Like Teen Wolf, the original Teen Wolf was pretty cool. Back to the Future. So he's somebody that I would like to meet as well. Christopher Lloyd came over. I was able to meet him at an event. And it's great because I managed to get my picture taken with him and the DeLorean, which is quite nice. So that's the kind of range that we find with these events, but do they represent value for money? Because obviously you have to pay to get in before you even pay any extras. And some people travel far and wide from the country. I mean, when I went up to Liverpool, I'm based in London, and I went up there for an Alien. So there is that appeal and the attraction of, if you're a big fan of a particular series, of meeting the actors and actresses. So I'm keeping an eye out. I think it's Monopoly events also do other events, like for the love of sci-fi. I think that's one of theirs, where they get a combination of characters and actors from various sci-fi franchises, and you go there for that. And Showmasters have got their film festival or something, which again, is more focused on British actors and actresses, which is fine, and some of the older generations as well. As a self-published author, I've looked at some of these events and I've attended some of them. Question and answers. A movie show that everyone loves but you don't. Twilight. Everybody loves Twilight, don't they? That's got to be on the top of my list there. Not one that I would watch. I'm a Celebrity. I'm not a fan of I'm a Celebrity. I've had to watch it with the family because the missus and the child enjoys it. I didn't find the challenges this year too repulsive, but they seem to be running out of ideas as to how repulsive they can make those challenges on I'm a Celebrity. And then you look at the celebrities that they have on there, and perhaps I'm just getting old, but I look at them and think, well, okay, who are you? It was a shame that Jack Osborne didn't win it this year. I found him to be one of the people that was more or less in the background, keeping calm, very level-headed, and I think he was easily overlooked because he wasn't a big star attraction. Listening to his stories of him growing up, they were interesting, with obviously Sharon Osbourne and Ozzy Osbourne, the whole family unit that they had. But I'm not really a fan of I'm a Celeb or reality TV as a whole. I don't watch Big Brother, never have done. And I think that's something that's running out of steam, but then it has a wide audience, doesn't it? A lot of people still continue to watch it, which is fair enough. We all like different things, and some of the stuff that I like, not everybody else enjoys. I get that. I watched Three-Bodied Problem on Netflix, which for me was a really cool sci-fi show, and Stranger Things. I really enjoy watching Stranger Things, although I haven't watched the more recent episodes. I'm probably going to binge watch all of them after Christmas, because then I can just sit down there and lose an entire day or two watching the entire thing. Which really surprised me, because I like Netflix is kind of like it's got a Goonies feel to it. And I honestly thought that my other half would enjoy it, but she couldn't get into it. So there's the opposite. That's something that everybody's into that I'm into, but my wife didn't like for some reason, which is perfectly fine. As I say, we all enjoy different things. So getting back to Comic Cons, it's really interesting. There's been a massive explosion of different events, and I noticed, because I was looking at some events as to where I could go to publish and promote my books and my YouTube channel as well, because I'm really keen to get the YouTube channel growing with a connected fan base, which is hence why I'm doing the lives in the morning. Because I just want to build a lovely community that we can sit down and chat about pop culture, and you can give me some feedback on my books and tell me whether or not you're enjoying them, what you don't like, dislike, all that. And the best way to support the channel is to like, share and subscribe. So if you're enjoying the content so far, I'd appreciate it if you like, share and subscribe. So yeah, Comic Cons, I was surprised that there are an awful lot of local ones to me. For example, there's one in Berkhamsted. St Albans didn't happen this year. I did attend St Albans a few years ago. We've got St Albans, Borehamwood, Hatfield moved to Ware, and that was a bit later on. Hi mate, how are you? Morning. Just talk about pop culture and Comic Cons. Have you been to a Comic Con? If you have, who did you go to? Me, or did you just go for the crack, as they say? So I'm looking at some events for next year, as well as book festivals as well, because obviously being a writer, I want to promote the books. I've tried promoting them at Comic Cons, and it kind of went okay. But now that I've moved into the filmmaking and 3D animation, then I'm also been promoting the channel, because my ambition is in the next couple of months there'll be a 10-minute episode of a series that I'm writing called The Salamander, and The Salamander is about the crew of the Salamander that kind of operate under the law in grey areas. So kind of think Bad Batch. It's going to have a Bad Batch vibe, but obviously not set in the Star Wars universe. It's set in the Prycon universe. And I've already got a 3D sculptor to help me do the characters. I'm building out the sets in Blender at the moment. And that's something that I'd like to promote and push forward going into the new year, is this channel and some of the films and stuff that I'm putting together with the stories and characters all set and based on my book. So I'm looking at events for next year, Comic Con, Book Festival. I've got a whole load of Lego sets as well. If anyone wants to buy a Lego set, I've got a few that are going spare. Millennium Falcon, Bad Batch Shuttle, a couple of Marvel stuff as well, and Brickheads. So I'm really looking forward to the new year and some of the Comic Con events. Now in March, I think it's March, Showmasters have theirs, and as I said, they've got Shitty Gatwa going, Millie Gibson, and a few of the cast from Doctor Who. And you never know, I might go and try and get his autograph and like complete the set. But it does get expensive, and the question is really: are these events value for money? Do you attend any of the events up and down the country? And is there any that are local to you that you would recommend? For example, I would recommend the Boreham Wood Comic Con. It's in a small venue. Parking in that is reasonably okay to access. It was reasonably priced to get in. They had some reasonable, fairly popular stars. The Hatfield Comic Con, again, surprised me this year because it's such a low-key, well, I think it's a bit of a low-key event, but they had Tamara Morrison, who obviously is Boba Fett, and I felt that he was quite a big fish to have at a small event. I didn't go, I wasn't able to attend, but I will do next year. So for next year's Comic Con that I aim to get to, obviously Showmasters in the spring. I'll keep an eye out at the Monopoly events because they have them up and down the country and they generally get a good selection of celebs going. Comic Con in the summer, that's one of my favourite ones that I generally go to more often than not. And the winter Comic Con as well. Plus the local one, which will be in Ware next year, and Berkhamsted, and maybe Hemel if they do one in Hemel, because it's all kind of local to me where I'm at. And I'll be going to sell my books, promote the channel, and also just to mingle. It's lovely to just speak to other people that enjoy pop culture. And let me know. I mean, what are you watching at the moment? To say I haven't watched Stranger Things yet, but I will do over the Christmas period, and then I'll do a review. The one thing that I would like to do is reviews of movies, but again, it's the costs. I was going to go and see Predator, but the cinema that I usually go to, they're doing a refurb, so they uprooted all the seats, and the nearest ones to me were £15 a pop. And okay, £15 isn't a vast amount of money, but once you add that, so 2 or 3 of you go, you've got up to 30, 45 quid before you even do anything, such as buying popcorn and drinks and stuff. So you can end up spending an absolute fortune for just a couple of hours. And so, yeah, I will probably be back on Monday. Got a few things to do over the next 2 days, so I won't be around until Monday. Echoes of Betrayal, we're up to part 23, will be released on Friday. I'm a little bit behind for the scheduling for that. I've recorded up to episode 24, and I need to write episode 25. Yeah, thank you so much for your support. Please do like, share and subscribe, and check out Echoes of Betrayal and tell me what you think. If you want to connect with me directly, you can go to my website, wayneblinko.com. I keep meaning to link it in the description. Perhaps I'll get around to that a bit later. So yeah, go to my website, wayneblinko.com, and sign up to my newsletter. From next month, I will be doing a quarterly newsletter which will give you updates as to what I've been doing for the last 3 months, as well as freebies, discount codes for my books, and a unique story that will be unique for the subscribers of the newsletter for a short period. So we will get a story before I publish it anywhere else. So thank you. All right, thank you so much for stopping by and watching. If you're watching on the replay, let me know what you think of the channel, and go to wayneblinko.com for my latest information. Sign up to my newsletter. I'll be back on Monday. Thank you very much. Cheers.